The topic of my presentation is climate change and species distribution. The subtopic of my presentation is temperate deciduous forests. Climate change and species distribution. Our group's major topic discusses how climate change impacts species distribution throughout different biomes. My chosen subtopic reveals how climate change impacts species distribution in temperate deciduous forest biomes. Changes in weather patterns and climate have caused disruptions in many ecosystems throughout the world. Climate change has already caused the migration of thousands of species to different regions, including plant and animal species. Changes in temperature, precipitation, or other weather events have caused species to have to leave their natural habitats. This has had a huge impact on species composition and diversity in areas across the world. Many temperate deciduous forests have seen loss of species, diversity, and richness due to increasing global warming effects. Throughout this presentation, I will be discussing habitat suitability and its impact on species distribution, and the impacts of climate change on bird, insect, and plant species distribution. Why is this topic significant? Species distribution is directly impacted by climate change. Climate change could lead to a decrease in biodiversity and extinction of many species. Species that are forced to move due to climate change could locate to non-native areas, making them invasive species. These species could have drastic impacts on the organisms who live there, which could cause disruptions in the food web and other possible issues. It is important to observe how plant and animal distributions are changing due to climate change so we can be prepared for possible issues to arise. Climate change and species extinction. Although climate change can have large impacts on species migration, it can also lead to mass extinction events. Scientists have hypothesized that the number of species going extinct is increasing due to climate change. The main factors causing these high extinction rates are decreases in precipitation and less food abundance. When species are forced to migrate to different locations, new competition can occur between native and non-native species. This decreases the amount of food available for each species. Researchers have concluded that there are both abiotic and biotic factors that are leading to extinction, which are all caused by climate change. These abiotic factors include precipitation and temperature. They can also include increasing wildfire frequencies. Biotic factors could include the loss of a predator species, which could lead to an increase in prey species. On the other hand, you can also see an extinction in a prey species that leads to an extinction in a predator species due to a lack of food. The graph on the right shows the hypothesis of which factors are leading to local extinctions in different species. Climate change alters habitat suitability in temperate deciduous forests. I will be discussing habitat suitability and how climate change has begun to impact habitats in 4 different temperate deciduous forests located in Spain. Habitat suitability plays a direct role in species distribution because if a habitat can no longer support a species, the species may be forced to migrate or they could even go extinct. Climate change will influence forest biodiversity on multiple levels and have direct and indirect impacts on forest ecosystems worldwide. Habitat suitability in temperate deciduous forests have been impacted by 2 main conditions, which are temperature and precipitation. Many temperate deciduous forests have seen higher temperatures and a decline in rainfall due to climate change. The figure on the left reveals habitat suitability for 4 temperate deciduous forests in Spain under current climatic conditions. The figures on the right and in the middle display the changes in habitat suitability in the forests due to future conditions caused by climate change. It is projected that the Fagus sylvatic forests are projected to lose 17.6% of their suitable habitat area. This could also lead to a higher risk of mortality of trees and a reduction in species distribution and diversity. Another temperate deciduous forest, known as Betula celatiberca, is expected to lose 23.3% of suitable habitat area due to climate change. It is evident that climate change has caused habitat suitability to decrease in temperate deciduous forests around the world, which could have great impacts on the distribution of species and species diversity. Climate change impacts on bird species in Colombia. Colombia is often known for its species diversity and richness. It is made up of several different biomes, including rainforests, temperate forests, grasslands, and mountain regions. A study conducted in Colombia aimed to reveal how bird species richness and distribution would be affected by climate change. The results revealed that bird species were projected to have smaller and more fragmented geographic ranges due to climate change. They project that 4 to 9% of the suitable habitat for bird species may completely disappear in 2050 due to climate change. The figure to the left reveals that species richness in Colombia is decreasing, and they will see a massive loss of species shown in the bottom right picture. Climate change is expected to continue to have drastic effects on many bird populations in Colombia, which include loss of species diversity and richness throughout several different biomes. Climate change impacts on insect species in temperate deciduous forests. Temperate deciduous forests have seen a decline in insect populations throughout the past few decades. More specifically, there has been a major decline in the amount of beetles due to unknown causes. Many researchers hypothesize that the decline in beetles is due to climate change. These researchers decided to collect beetle populations and compare the amounts collected to a similar collection that was conducted in the 1970s. The figure on the right reveals that there has been a decline in almost every beetle taxa in temperate deciduous forests over the past 40 years. Although predator species and invasive species are one possible explanation for this decline, researchers believe that this is not the main cause for the decline in beetle species. It is hypothesized that the direct and indirect effects of climate change are the most probable contributors to the decline in beetle populations. For example, it is believed that decreasing snow depths have led to a decrease in beetle population because beetle populations are able to survive better with more snow cover. They also predict that shorter and warmer winters will allow predators more time to search for beetle prey, which is an indirect impact of climate change. Beetle populations were found to be lowest when the temperatures were warmest, which reveals that as temperature increases, beetle populations decrease. If global warming continues, we could see extinction of many beetle species throughout temperate deciduous forests. Climate change impacts plant species migration in temperate deciduous forests. Increasing global warming events have caused plant and tree species to migrate north because they can no longer withstand the warming climate. However, many plant and tree species have had difficulty migrating due to soil quality. As we have learned in class, soil quality and health can be severely altered due to climate change. Many temperate deciduous forests now contain soil that has been altered by climate change. These forests have soil that have low nutrient availability, low soil pH, and contain dry soil. All of these factors could increase the difficulty of plant migration. Plant species such as Acer saccharum are being forced to migrate north due to higher temperatures, but may be constricted by low soil quality. The figure to the left shows how temperature could impact migration rates of plant species depending on the soil quality. The solid line represents plant species migration without any soil constraints. As temperature increases due to climate change, migration rates increase. The other dotted lines represent migration with different soil constraints. Since many plant species migration is affected by the soil health and quality of the forest, species composition will change over time in temperate deciduous forests. Climate change impacts tree dormancy in temperate deciduous forests. Tree dormancy is a way that tree species are able to adapt to winter conditions. Their metabolism, energy consumption, and growth slowed down due to the limited light and heat sources available. Climate change has impacted weather conditions to cause tree dormancy to occur earlier and later in temperate deciduous forests. Tree dormancy has been impacted by frost events, heat stress, rain patterns, and drought stress. Researchers have expressed concern over these changes in tree dormancy because it can lead to growth and metabolism issues in trees. The figure to the left shows current dormancy rates for trees in temperate deciduous forests, with low values being early dormancy and high values being late dormancy. It is evident that many tree species are now undergoing dormancy much earlier and later than previous years. This could have huge impacts on tree distribution and diversity. Changing the tree dormancy is essentially disrupting a tree's life cycle, which could cause death or other complications. In addition, many organisms such as insects rely on trees and follow their life cycles. Delayed tree dormancy could greatly impact these organisms who rely on trees. In addition, loss of tree species diversity in temperate deciduous forests would impact almost every organism who lives there. How can humans prevent species loss in temperate deciduous forests? As we have seen throughout this presentation, temperate deciduous forests are undergoing many changes due to climate change. Tree species distribution and diversity is decreasing, which has led to direct impacts on other organisms that live there. We have seen that habitats are becoming unsuitable for organisms to continue to live there. In addition, we have also seen migration of bird species and decreases in insect species. A lot of these issues are caused by humans who are creating climate change. However, it is not too late. Landowners can play a huge role in protecting their forests from the effects of climate change. Focus groups were conducted on landowners to see what they were doing to help diminish the impacts of climate change on their forest land. One important method that landowners used and are currently doing is removing vegetation around individual trees to reduce stress from drought and damage from storm events caused by climate change. Another method that landowners are using is planting more diverse tree species in order to increase species diversity. Landowners have built stream culverts, irrigation devices, and other structures to help protect trees and soil against flooding, drought, and storm events caused by climate change. Although plant and tree species are able to adapt on their own to changing climate conditions, landowners are providing a lot of help by using these methods. So the summary. Climate change has a direct impact on species distribution across all biomes. Climate change can lead to extinction in species due to abiotic and biotic factors. Increasing temperature and decreasing precipitation levels in temperate deciduous forests have caused a decrease in species distribution and diversity. Many habitats are becoming less suitable for organisms to live due to climate change. Many beetle species have declined due to climate change over the past 40 years in temperate deciduous forests. In addition, tree dormancy has been greatly impacted by climate change, which impacts the organisms in that area. Lastly, landowners play a large role in helping temperate deciduous forests adapt and recover from issues caused by climate change. These are my references.